Hello, everyone. I am so excited for you to meet my guest on today's podcast. I have Pastor Jeremy Donovan in the house today. I cannot wait for you to hear his story. He talks about drug addiction. He talks about losing custody of a child. He talks about being in and out of mental institution. He talks about rehab. And best of all, he talks about where God took him through all of those journeys and landed him as a pastor in inner city Dallas. You are going to die when you hear this story. I cannot wait for you to hear all that God is doing with this life laid down in inner city Dallas. So enjoy my hour and about probably 20 minutes with the amazing Pastor Jeremy Donovan. Have you done podcasts before?
Yeah.
You're used to it?
Sort of.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Do you listen to them?
Not as much as I should to be encouraged, I guess. But
Yeah.
I'll listen to yours.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Listen, I know Dustin was like, I'll definitely be listening to Pastor Jeremy. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, and I'm excited.
So I just found out, before we jump in anything, you're a foodie.
I am a foodie.
I consider myself a foodie.
Yeah.
What do you use Yelp? Or is there like an
Sometimes I
underground?
actually just drive around and look for like
Really?
places that.
Like get a vibe from?
Yeah, and I ask locals. That's kind of a good thing to do. Is just, hey, where's a good place to eat around here? And locals know. So.
Do you live in Dallas?
Sort of. I live in Cedar Hill, so
Cedar
it's
Hill,
Dallas
okay.
County, but
Yeah.
just outside of Dallas.
So you just go like you're like in the grocery store and you just ask some guy like,
Yeah,
hey,
like where's a good place to eat?
Really?
You know, especially in Oak Cliff because there's so many
Oh,
old,
yeah.
like really old places that have
Oh
been
yeah,
there for
stood
years.
the test of time.
Yeah.
And okay, so top 3 Dallas.
Top 3 Dallas. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's a big one because Dallas is so
Diverse.
good. Yeah. So.
Do you like grungy hole in the walls, or do
I
you like?
do.
That's me too.
Yeah.
I don't want to get dressed up.
No.
I don't want to go have
Yeah.
a nice, $300 meal unless it's crab. Like
I agree,
just
yeah.
want to go
Or
into
a
that
good
place.
steak. I'll go to a good
Yeah,
steak.
that's Dustin
Yeah.
too. Dustin
Yeah, I'll
will
go
do
to a
that.
good steak.
I'll do a good crab, but otherwise I want it to like be grungy.
I love it.
And
Yeah.
the dirtier it is.
Yeah, like Wingfields, all the way.
Wingfields.
Can't even sit down.
You're
There's no
kidding.
room.
Where
Yeah.
is it?
It's in Oak Cliff, just probably 5 minutes from CF&I.
I have not been.
Called Wingfields.
Okay,
It's a
done. I'm there.
cheeseburger that's like as big as your head. It's amazing. Yeah.
Is it like a local?
Yeah.
Thing?
Been there 50 years. You feel like you're going back
Not
in
a
time.
franchise.
Nope. No,
Wingfields.
I don't even think they cleaned it in the last 20 years. But it's
amazing.
really
Even
good.
better.
No, they don't put that on. That's rude to say about them. But no, it's
They're going to
really,
sue us all.
Yeah.
They're going to start a franchise after
Just
we.
teasing. But
Oh no,
it's
I'm
like-
starting.
it's
You're
amazing.
giving him promo
It's
right now.
amazing. Yeah, it's Wingfields is the bomb.
Wingfields, if you want to
Yeah.
sponsor this podcast, call me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was just in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
My brother just graduated med school there. And my dad is just like me, and he loves the hole in the wall, like the grimier, the better. And so he takes me to this place where, what's the name of it? Like, it's a hot dog, but there's a certain name for it. Like a coney?
Oh yeah, the coney.
Yeah,
with
is
the
it
chili on it and everything.
The coney.
Yeah, I'm a
Yes.
foodie. I know.
Okay,
Yeah,
you know, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's like, Jamie, you've got to go to this place and try this coney. And so we walk like downtown Detroit. It was amazing. And we turn this corner and there's this huge like coney place that's it looks like an In-N-Out, like fancy and signs. And I was like, oh, this, yeah. And my dad's like, no, that's not the spot. Right next door, there's this dingy,
That's the place to go?
grimy. And my dad's like, trust me on
Yeah.
this. Like, and I was like trying not to eat like hot dogs and carbs at this point.
Yeah.
And he was like, trust me on this. I was like, okay, Dad, I trust you. We go inside. They don't even talk to you. They'll just be like
Wow.
it was like Soup Nazi on
Wow.
Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Oh,
Where
yeah.
it's like, yeah, like,
Like, no
you don't
soup
even,
for you.
they don't even
Yeah.
have to treat you nice
Yeah.
because they're that good.
I
The
love
guy's
it.
picking it up with his bare hands, no gloves, no hair nuts, no hair nuts, just picks up the hot dog, slaps it down, smothers it with chili, cash only. The register, you have to
That's
do.
Wingfields.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. We need to
Cash
double
only.
date
Yes.
with your wife
Let's
and
go.
Dust.
Yeah.
For real.
Let's
This
do it.
is like my dream.
You have to
I
like
didn't even
stand
know
out in
there
the
were
parking
places.
lot though. It's crazy. Like
This-
that's why I warn people. There's no
I'm
place to
fine with
sit.
that as
Yeah.
long as it's not today.
No, yeah.
Maybe
No,
fall.
Yeah, let's
maybe
go.
November.
A month from now, we'll do it.
Oh my goodness. That's amazing though. And so, yeah, it was the best. I mean, I haven't had
Yeah,
a lot
you
of.
can't even do the double. Like I
Really?
love big food,
Yeah.
and I can't eat the double cheeseburger. It's huge.
Where do they get their meat from? Why is it
They
so
make.
good?
I don't know. They've
Something
been making it
special.
for years. Yeah, who knows? But
Okay, so
it's probably
Wingfields,
the
what are the
grill,
other ones?
50-year-old grill.
And then I want to hear about you. I could talk food all day. Do you cook?
I do grill. I don't.
Okay.
I grill. I like to grill steaks and stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Do you smoke?
So, do I smoke cigarettes?
Like, do you
I
smoke
used
like
to.
meat? I I don't know all your story, which we're going to hear, but I would guess you used to smoke cigarettes.
Yeah. I'm like, smoke what? No.
So you grill mostly?
Yeah, mostly grill. Yeah, I'm not I grew up around Italian food, so.
Oh, are you Italian?
No, I'm Irish, but I worked at like the Italian market in Philadelphia and stuff when I was a kid. So a lot of Italians in my life. And so I can do some pasta. Like I'm pretty good at like baked ziti. Is like
really?
Yeah, I can make a pretty killer baked ziti.
Oh, do your kids love it?
No, because my best friend also owns a Italian restaurant here.
Oh, serious?
Yeah,
which
so
restaurant?
It's called Moe's Italian Express. It's it's right in Cedar Hill.
And they like that?
I mean, we eat there all the time, so
Yeah.
they're just like, please don't make anything with red sauce. We eat there constantly, so because it's also right across the street from my house. So
that's nice.
I have a best friend with a restaurant
With an
across
Italian
the street.
restaurant.
Yeah.
There's nothing better.
Like we can walk to it. We're going, man.
I'm so happy you're here.
Yes, I am
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you. It's an honor.
I'm really honored. I was telling you earlier, but I want the listeners to know as well, I don't know your story.
Yeah.
Hardly any of it. Only what I see online, which you don't, tell 20 years of your life online.
No, huh?
And so I only know bits and pieces, but Dustin was like, oh my goodness, you're having Pastor Jeremy on. You're going to love him. You're not even going to believe his story. And so let's just, right now, at this point in life, you're pastoring.
Yes.
A thriving church that's reaching their local community, unlike almost any church I've seen.
Yeah, we're trying.
I'm sure that's a fight, but you're doing it and you're in the fight, which a lot of people aren't even in it. You're a husband, you're a dad, you're all these things, you're successful. Like to the outside observer, you have it all made, you're living your calling, but we know there's a whole story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Leading up to that. And I know none of us are ever like a 10,
No,
obviously. But you are, I feel like if somebody were to meet you off the bat or sit in your congregation, and not know your story, they wouldn't even believe what got you here.
Exactly.
So you're from Philly. Tell me a little bit about your background. Parents.
My mom and dad are actually great people. They're pastors.
Are they still?
They're retired. They're helping me.
Oh, are they really? Did they move here? Mm-hmm. Oh, cool.
Yeah, and so
you grew up as a pastor's kid?
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up in church.
Wow. Brothers and sisters?
Yeah, they're both a lot younger than me. Mm-hmm. So we're actually all exactly 7 years apart. I call it my parents' 7-year itch. So
every 7 years.
So it's true. We're actually
almost decades.
Yeah, we're exact. So
are you the oldest?
Yeah, and my sister was born when I was 7, and my brother was born when I was 14.
Wow.
So exactly 7 years apart.
Wow.
And I grew up in Philadelphia pretty much, and then my senior year in high school, I was getting in a lot of trouble. So my parents took a church in Anchorage, Alaska, actually.
No, to move
you?
Yeah,
to get me out of
What got you into trouble? Were you just restless or?
Yeah, no, I mean, I had a lot of
I
had a lot of bad things that happened to me as a kid, actually. So I when I tell my story, I usually tell it differently so people know. But when I was a kid, I used to go to my grandma's house in Cleveland. My dad was always a pastor of a smaller church, and we didn't have a ton of money. Back then, pastors, I mean, it was like most pastors were just poverty,
For sure.
you know?
Yep.
And so vacation for us was Cleveland,
With grandma.
where my grandma lived,
yeah.
And so when I would go there, though, we had a friend of the family that actually would abuse me when I was a kid. And so from 7 to about 13 years old, I was abused every summer, every Thanksgiving. And
by
every
a trusted
Christmas.
person?
Yeah. And so.
And they had no idea?
They had no idea. And I didn't feel like I could tell anybody. I just got more and more angry and more upset. When I was about 13, I kind of got big enough to tell them off.
What was happening to you?
At first I didn't. Like that was a weird thing. At first it was just like, okay, maybe this is life, you know, because I was so young. But by the time I was 13, I knew something was wrong.
Yep.
And I got big enough, though, to just tell them off. And so that's kind of when it stopped.
Yeah.
But I didn't tell anybody until I was 21 years old. Wow. I just held it in. But going through that, a lot of people were like, why are you so angry? What's wrong with you? You know? But
and your family, you're all still in Philly.
Yeah.
Okay,
so we would go to Cleveland.
So all this is festering
when I was
inside of you, and your
Philly,
parents
I was
have
safe.
no idea what's going on.
Yeah. So, but then when I would go there, I was not safe. So it almost made grandma, like it was a hard thing because I love going to grandma's
your
house.
grandma. Yep.
But at the same time, it was like this craziness. So.
Yeah.
But you know.
So do you feel like that was the initial trigger?
Yeah. So like about 13 is when I told him off, but it's also when I shifted into probably trying to self-medicate. It's when I started drinking and smoking weed and
Was it
kind of
like
hanging out with the wrong
addictive
crowd.
type of thing, or more like?
Yeah, I definitely have an
social,
addictive personality for sure, 100%. And so I didn't realize it at the time, but as soon as I started drinking and smoking, it was like in rehabs they call them garbage heads. It was basically like, you put it in front of me, I'm gonna try it. And I'm gonna do more
like
of it.
anything.
Yeah. Try it once, and if I like it, do it again.
Like anything you could get your hands on type of thing?
Anything.
Really?
Yeah.
And was it all like, looking back, I have a horrible memory, so I can hardly remember myself at 20, but looking back like at 13 to 18, like was it a self-medicating thing?
I think part of it at first was it was just fun. I mean, just to be real. Like, I'm the type of person that's like, drugs are actually fun.
You're up for a good time.
They're just going to ruin your life,
right.
if you do it. But in the moment, it feels great. Yeah. It just ruins your life.
So it wasn't even in that moment about escaping anything. It was just like...
I think part of it was, I was real angry.
How did the anger manifest?
Through drugs.
So it's not like you were like cussing people out and screaming and throwing things at your
not
parents.
Really.
It was like an inner thing?
Inner thing, yeah. Because
I think sometimes anger gets interpreted as like only people who are angry like scream and shout and throw things, but there are layers to anger.
Yeah, definitely. It was never like, I've never been like a fighter.
Yeah.
I don't like fighting. I've been in fights, but it's not like my gig. Like, I'd rather not.
Mine too.
So it's
mine
like,
not too.
I just I used drugs and a sexual addiction. Actually, started as pornography. But those were kind of my forms of self-medication.
Yeah. So. Did you run like with a group that introduced you to it all, or did you go seeking it?
I mean, at first it was like just friends and stuff. I met a few guys when I was, we kind of lived outside the city just a little bit, but Philadelphia's train system. So for $7, you can be anywhere in the city in a few minutes. So we used to ride the trains everywhere. And so I ran into some like nightclub owners and different things like that later on in my teen years that kind of opened the door to a lot. So so when my parents moved to Alaska, I went there and graduated.
So this was your senior year?
Yeah.
That they move you?
Yeah, they moved me my senior year.
So they knew you were in trouble at this point?
They did.
Okay.
Yeah, and I had a girlfriend because the drug lifestyle brought all the stuff,
Do you have memories from those times? Or is it pretty blank?
I mean, I do.
Yeah,
I'm not somebody that's like, oh, I completely blacked out. And it's actually stuff that like, that's the cool thing is God's grace is amazing, but there's still consequences. And there's still bad memories, and it's just like, it's not cool to always have to remember. But
what was your relationship like with your parents?
It's good now.
They know you were in trouble then, though. Like, was it?
They didn't know to the depth.
Okay.
They knew, so they thought basically it was this
maybe
girlfriend.
Some weed once.
Yeah.
It was the girl. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the girl for sure. So when we moved there, it was I bought a plane ticket back to Philadelphia at Christmas, and they were like, "Don't go," and I was like, "No." Are
you going back for the girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that was 19. Well, I was 18 at the time. I was 18, senior in high school, and I went back there and got back with my friends. And the crazy thing was, even in Alaska, like I always say, like your baggage follows you if you don't unpack it.
Truer words, yes, 100%.
Yeah, like if you move, you're gonna bring the U-Haul truck unless you unpack it before you do. And so I found the drugs and stuff in Alaska really quick. It was easy. So I was doing the same stuff up there.
Did you love your parents at this time, or were you upset or bitter? Like, what was?
I think I was a little bitter, and it's not their fault, honestly.
Sure, yeah,
but it's typical pastor kid stuff. Like, I felt like the ministry took them from me, stuff like that.
Your mom too, not just your dad?
Yeah, both of them. So it was, but honestly, looking back, it didn't. I was just a whiny teenager,
Yeah. It was normal teen angst.
Right. Yeah, like I'm
Which
learning.
looks for a place to
blame people. Yeah. So I went there and then flew home at
back
Christmas.
To Alaska?
Back to Philadelphia.
Oh, back to Philadelphia. Okay.
Yeah, I call it home. That's right.
That's home. Are you an Eagles fan?
I am, 100%. Yeah.
What is the deal with Eagles fans? I know. I mean, I think Seahawks fans are bad.
Eagles are the worst, man.
I'm impressive. I had a good friend when I was a missionary. And he was from Philly, and he had two passions that he would like kill for: the Eagles and pure butter.
Yeah.
Is that a Philly thing?
Yeah, it's a Philly thing.
Okay,
yeah,
like he would freak out over margarine.
Yeah,
and he's like, or milk that wasn't whole.
No, I don't like whole milk.
Okay,
but
those were like his two things though. But it's like he would.
Yeah, butter's important.
He was one of the greatest guys I ever knew, and he'd kill over the Eagles.
Phillies, I get bored at Cowboys games. It's like, these fans are boring, man.
They sit down.
Yeah, they just sit there and watch the game.
Do you ever go back for games?
I haven't been back for a game, and I need to.
Yeah,
but
you're holding on strong.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's Dustin and the Seahawks.
Yeah. My daughter's a Cowboys fan, and I think I might have to kick her out of the house.
Oh, that's really hard.
Yeah, it's really frustrating.
Jude, our firstborn, said last year, I like the Cowboys. And Dustin goes, you can like the Cowboys, but we do not like anybody more than the Seahawks. But they'd have no frame of reference. Like, he grew up a Seahawks fan. Like, it's going to be funny to see how it all plays out when they're real Texans.
Yeah, I told Cadence, I'm like, I got to take you to Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah. Is that your son?
That's my daughter.
That's your daughter.
So
she likes football, though.
She does like football.
Cool.
Well, I think she just likes to like bother me and wear Cowboy shirts. I don't know if... But, it's a big football town. Our school at our church is a big football school.
Yeah.
So
oh, that's right. Yeah, okay. I want to get into that, too. Okay, so you went back to Philly.
Yes.
You're there.
Uh-huh.
Did you get the girl?
Yeah. Like, okay. I mean, we're still technically dating.
Okay.
And it was really an unhealthy relationship. So I went back to Philadelphia for just Christmas break.
Uh-huh.
While I was there, I went, with the drug lifestyle brings everything. So I just jumped back into it and partied with my friends. So for the
parents who listen to this, who have kids going through this, so many families in our church have this scenario happening, and they're the parents that are praying, and they're the parents full of regrets, and they're the parents that are thinking, what could I have done different? What was going through your mind as far as like God and family? Was it even a thought, or was it more just like, this is my time?
At that point, and again, this is to nobody's fault. It wasn't from anything with training, but it's weird how sometimes your heart aligns with just certain things in your life.
Yep.
At that point, I believed in God, but I thought he was a dictator.
Okay, yeah.
And I thought he was really angry at me. And I
so
had
you
just
never
quit
really
on
lost
him.
faith, actually?
No, I always believed in God.
Wow.
It was really funny because even later on, like as I moved back to Philadelphia, I lived, like, I was in crack houses and stuff and doing like crazy drugs, and I remember like
intense drugs.
Yeah, and I remember like witnessing to other drug addicts, like, you need Jesus, you need to go get help. But I didn't want to get help myself.
But you did have an underlying faith.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I always had this thing where and probably still to this day, where I cared more about other people than my own health and my own.
Yep. So you'd see somebody on the brink of death and be like, we got to get you better, as you're like shooting cocaine.
So it was bad.
Oh, man. That's a pastor's heart, though.
Yeah, I know, right?
From the really very beginning, that is such a
looking
pastor's
back,
heart.
Like, wow,
even when
really
you're in crack houses, you're pastoring people.
You really messed up, dude. Yeah. So.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Okay, so this all happens. You always have faith in God, but you don't like him, would you say?
Yeah, I'm just angry at him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm angry at Christians. Like, I think that would be a big thing I would recommend is, like, if you see a kid that's angry or hurting, don't get mad at them for being angry and hurting. And that's something I really work on now. It's like, when you see a kid reacting out, there's a root to that. There's always a root to the reaction, is what I say. And so a lot of people were just looking at my reaction and nobody was going for the root. Like, hey, what's really wrong, dude? And so.
And you're carrying these secrets. And you're carrying this.
So it's the same thing with my kids now. When I see them having a reaction, I'm like, okay, what's really happening
This
here?
isn't about the meltdown.
Right.
Yeah. That's really, really
And so I think so often
good.
The Bible's clear that there's fruit.
Yep.
To us.
Yep.
And so often, especially as parents, because we freak out a little bit with our kids. We want them to be great, right? But we're looking at the fruit instead of the root.
Yeah.
And I think that really happened with me a lot, where people are like, wow, this kid's doing drugs, because I got caught at like youth camp with drugs and like all kinds of stuff. And they were just looking at the fruit.
You're going after the girls.
Yeah. And so nobody ever just stopped to say,
are you okay?
What's happening? Are you okay?
So no one ever did?
Not really, no. And I hid it from my parents pretty well, but I mean, they knew when I got caught with drugs and stuff. And, but I always try to honor them because they really were good people.
Yeah.
But it was just, I think that's my recommendation is stop looking at the fruit and be like, what's going on? Because it could be something with a child as little as like, hey, I'm working too much and not spending enough time with my kids. Do
you think, like, in your worst moments, like, what would you say your age was like where you were really like hitting rock bottom? Like
rock bottom was 22.
22. Okay, so like, let's say you're 22. If somebody had come up to you, a Christian, been like, bro, like, I want to help you.
I was done there. Yeah, there was no hope.
There was nothing. You wouldn't have even.
Yeah, if you told me you were a Christian at that point, I would.
It was over.
Because even like I would run into people like handing out tracts. No, I was just at that point I was so angry.
Yeah.
Towards the Christian faith and church, like I just I would actually try to embarrass like those poor track people. If you're a track person that used to hand tracks out in Philly, I'm sorry. Because like I would just like try to embarrass them and be mean to them. And it was like, there was just no hope. At that point, Jesus had to encounter me, not a Christian.
Not people.
Yeah.
And what is it? I'm really fascinated by the Christian thing because obviously we're pastors now.
Yeah.
So we see people hate, and we see people get hurt, and we see people, which it breaks my heart, and what could someone have done post 20 or pre 22? Was there if somebody would come into your life and you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I think I ran into a lot of like, and I think it's something we train people. It's almost like we have this goal to get people saved.
Yeah.
It's like our checklist.
Like raise your hand.
Yeah.
Put a number down.
And so it was almost like I was running into people that were like.
You were a project.
I felt like they didn't care about me. They just wanted to see if I would like accept Jesus. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes.
And so I think sometimes as Christians, and I really try to do this, and my goal isn't always to get people saved.
Yep. Yeah.
And that may get some people mad.
No, I'm tracking.
My goal is to show them the love of Jesus. Mm-hmm. And I think if somebody were to really have spent time with me, and there was one guy who did, I'll tell you about him later, who I actually respected. And I used to always say he's the only Christian I really knew. And I respected him, but he spent time caring about me. And it wasn't always like trying to push, because I knew the information.
Oh, yeah.
Like I grew up in church.
You knew it all.
You don't have to
you believed
preach
it.
at me. Right,
really?
right. Like I probably knew it better than a lot of the people trying to tell me about it.
Right.
But it was just like, you just want to hand me a track and pray over me and keep walking.
Yeah, and go back to your group and be like, I prayed for a druggie. Yeah. So it's interesting that even like drugged out late teens, you could sense that from people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's like really, really powerful. Like for Christians who do have a heart for like loving people and evangelism and all that, to like know that like people aren't stupid.
Yeah. And I felt it even like when I would do things with the church, even when I was younger, because I left the church for good right about 19.
Okay. So you were done with it.
Yeah, I was done at 19. Yeah. Never went back, didn't look towards church at all. But before that, I would help at church and stuff. And we would like go hand out sandwiches to the homeless people on Saturday nights.
Did you like that?
I did like it, and I felt like it was good, but I honestly sometimes would go home and be like, was that for the homeless people or was that for us to feel good about ourselves? Because a lot of times we would just cheer, and it's like, they just got a sandwich. Like, we're not helping them.
Yeah, they're still in the street.
And, I mean, we're giving them food, but...
Sure, that's real,
I think I was shifting more even at that time to, like, how do you teach a man to fish rather than just give him one?
Which is so crazy knowing, which the listeners will hear, where you are now.
Right.
How at early teens, you were already thinking in new systems.
It was like God was
There's
like
a broken system here. And, oh my goodness, that's wild.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened with the girl?
Okay, so I went home for Christmas, and we just partied, and I stayed at her house, and I flew back home or back to my parents.
And they took you back every time? They were always happy to like give you a home, give you a place to stay. Okay.
Yeah, and so when I got back to Alaska, it was probably 2 months later. She called me and she was like, "Hey, I'm pregnant."
Oh wow.
And so that was kind of like
love her?
I did love her
as much as you could have at that point
I
in
did.
time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was a weird thing because I didn't know how to love, I guess.
Sure.
But I did care for her.
It wasn't just some fling. Yeah.
No, we dated for 5 years.
Okay,
So
you're in Alaska. She tells you she's pregnant. What do you do?
I freak out, and like I had drug friends up there. No, at that time I was in high school still. I was 18.
Oh my word.
Yeah.
So you haven't even hit your rock bottom.
No.
Oh my goodness. You're a kid.
Yeah, 18.
You're a baby.
Found out I'm gonna be a dad, and so I kind of freak out and just like find all these drug guys, and I'll never forget. There was a security guard at my high school in Alaska, and I was in this drug house just going crazy.
Yeah.
And he actually came to the house and grabbed me. I guess he just cared enough, and he was like, "If I have to drag you across the stage, you're gonna graduate high school. Get up and get to school." And he drugged me out of that, and I was like scared of him.
That gives me like goosebumps.
Yeah, it was really crazy.
Did you even know him?
I mean, he knew me from, but I would only live there for 7 months. But I became friends with the security guards there pretty quick. But they knew I was trouble, I guess. But yeah, I mean, he actually cared, and I was kind of scared of him. At the time,
did that make you mad? Or did you actually even?
I think they were deep down.
Yeah.
I was like, wow,
he loves me, or
Yeah,
he
like-
thinks I can graduate.
Right.
He thinks I can.
Yeah, it kind of gave me a little hope.
Oh my word.
And so I did. I barely graduated high school, but I did. I went back, and he was there cheering me on when I walked the stage, and it was crazy. So I graduated.
Do you remember his name?
No.
Oh my word.
Yeah.
You've got to try and get a hold of this guy.
Someday I've always thought, how do I find him?
Oh
but
my
I guess I
goodness.
could go ask the school up in Alaska, but he did. He fought for me and made sure I graduated.
Oh my goodness.
So I graduated high school and then packed my stuff.
Did you go to be with the girl and the baby then?
Yeah,
Okay.
I packed my stuff and went back to
Philly.
Yeah, and got ready to be a dad.
Wow. So what happened then?
So
we're at about 20 now.
Yeah, no, I was
You're
still
still
18.
you're still
Yeah, I mean, she's pregnant. This is right away.
Is she 18 too? Is she a baby?
She's
as well?
she's younger than me,
Yeah,
actually. She's a
okay.
year younger than me, so.
She's going through a lot.
So at first I moved back and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be a good dad and I'm going to do this. So
Because you had a good dad.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I moved back and she's pregnant and at first it was like hard. They let me stay with them for a while. Her parents did, but then they were like, you got to find your own place. So I kind of hopped couches, actually slept in the park for a week,
Wow.
just trying to find stuff.
Are you still on drugs or are you trying to clean up?
At this point, I'm actually kind of clean, but
Yeah.
I'm starting to run into my friends again.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I found a job finally at a meat packing plant for $7 an hour.
What did you do?
I
Like
literally
package
packed
meat?
bacon, for 12 hours a day. Yeah. And just,
12 hours a day.
I started at 4 in the morning and usually got off about 4 or 5
you were
in the
trying.
afternoon. Yeah, I was
I
trying.
mean, what I'm
I was
sensing
working.
is you're trying hard
Working
to like
hard,
get yourself.
trying to make money.
Yep.
But then started running into the drugs and
Mm-hmm.
stuff again, and slowly. But I'm still like, it's weird. I always had this fight in me to be successful
Yeah.
too. So I was looking around, and like the truck drivers made more money. So I actually went out to like where they were driving because we would package the meat, load the trucks, and then they would go out and
Yeah.
deliver. So I started asking the truck drivers to like train me how to drive truck.
Wow.
And
so even at this, you're thinking future.
Yeah,
You're
like I
thinking,
gotta make
I've
money
gotta
for my
do
kid.
More. I've got to.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so the owner of the company, his son drove truck, and he had a heart for me, and he actually taught me how to drive truck. And
Wow.
I got my CDL and
Were you union?
no,
Okay.
no, it was actually one of the only non-union
Really?
meat packing plants in the whole city. Yeah, because most of Philly's union. So
Yeah.
but it was like a family-owned
Okay.
company.
Yeah.
But it was huge. I mean, it was one of the biggest pork plants in the city. I mean,
So you started driving
sorry,
trucks.
PETA, but they like killed like 10,000 pigs a day. Like it was crazy how much they processed.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you started driving trucks. Still ready to be a dad.
Yeah.
Baby's not here.
No.
So what happens next?
So he's actually born on my 19th birthday.
No.
Yeah. Same birthday.
Same birthday.
Yeah.
What is that?
September 10th.
September 10th. Wow.
And
Were you there?
Yeah. Yeah, I was there. I was trying to be a dad and everything. But as I drove truck, I became friends with my old friends again. But
Yeah.
also my route was Center City, Philly. And so
Is that-
it's,
I don't-
it's rough. And
Okay,
like
yeah.
North Philly, Kensington area is where my truck route was. And so I just started running into all kinds of people that opened
And you've got to
up
be
all
stressed out of
kinds
your mind
doors.
as a 19-year-old,
Yeah.
driving a truck, having a baby,
Right.
living with trying to
Yeah.
figure out. I mean, the stress
I mean, it was
levels.
so funny because I was so young looking. Like, I got pulled over one time by a cop, and I got out of the truck, and he was like, "Where's your dad?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Your dad that's driving the truck. You were speeding." And I'm like, "No, I'm driving the truck." And he was really freaked out. So,
Oh.
so yeah, it was crazy.
Oh my goodness.
But
So you're there when the baby's born. You're ready to you're still just trying so hard to be a part of his life. Was it a boy?
yeah, it was a boy.
What's his name?
Yeah, Isaiah.
Isaiah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then what happens? You're driving the route. You're
Yeah,
running into old
started getting
friends. You got to
introduced
be
to
stressed
drugs
out.
and,
Yeah.
and then I start showing up late to work, like all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yep.
And then I really got into cocaine and got a pretty bad drug habit that a truck driving job could not pay for. So I stopped paying child support.
It was like all street.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it like snort? Do you snort?
Yeah, I snorted it. I was afraid.
Okay,
I was afraid of needles, and I knew a lot of crackheads, and I never wanted to smoke crack because they had the black teeth, and it just always, it just always
a little
scared
too vain.
me. Yeah, I was like, no, I don't want to do
to
that. So I snorted a lot of coke, and then I did like acid and all kinds of different stuff in the clubs, and I started.
Were you out of your mind, or were you functioning?
I was functioning at this point. Yeah,
still driving.
Still driving a truck.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
Like, would you wake up and?
Yeah, I would
like
party all night long. I would drive sometimes on like 1 hour. Sometimes I had no sleep at all.
Oh my goodness.
I actually remember, and this is sad to say, and thank God nobody was ever hurt, but I remember moments of like falling asleep while I'm driving this massive truck and like waking up and being like, oh my gosh.
Oh.
You know?
Oh my goodness.
And so I think.
So you're full on like.
Crazy.
Becoming an addict at this point. Like it's like you're.
And so I started selling, back then ecstasy was real big in the clubs, and I started selling ecstasy pills to like supply my drug habit. I had people.
So you'd buy them and then you sell them for a higher price, and then so you're just working the system. Like you're just
I was
trying
the middleman.
to get, Yeah,
I was never like kingpin,
right?
But I was kind of the middleman that just needed to supply my habit, and so I would go.
So you really did it. You didn't even, you took the money to just pay for your own drugs.
Yeah, and then hopefully pay for, some of being a dad. But honestly, like I just really became a bad father at that point and never showed up. I was never around. She actually was always a good mom. And so she actually was glad at certain points that I wasn't around, So then at 21 was another kind of big moment. I was totally crazy. I was dating a stripper. and like doing drugs in the clubs, all kinds of stuff. And life was just crazy, but I was still driving at this point. I was walking through the mall and I passed out, like just crazy.
Yeah.
I always joke when I'm preaching because it actually did happen. I passed out right in front of Victoria's Secret. So people were like,
was the stripper with you is the question.
People were like, what did he see? But I was actually buying her something.
So, of course,
But I passed out and I woke up. And I had throw up all over me and
seizure.
Yeah, and so the security guard at the mall was like, "Hey, we called the police. Ambulance is on the way." But I had drugs on me.
Oh,
and so I was like, "Nah, I'm out, bro."
To.
And so I got up and I ran and I just left the mall.
Oh my gosh!
And I got to my car in the parking lot and I passed out again. And I don't know how long. I just know it was daylight when I passed out, and when I woke up, it was night.
In the parking lot? No.
Yeah, and I woke up and I had vomit all over me again, and it was just crazy.
So no one found you?
Mm-mm.
Oh my gosh.
I actually drove myself to the emergency room.
So you knew something was wrong?
Yeah, like at that point I'm like, I think I might be dying.
The fact that you didn't choke.
Right, it's crazy. Unbelievable. Yeah. So I get there and they're like...
I'm so glad I'm hearing this story for the first time here because this is unbelievable.
Yeah, it was
like
crazy.
God's hand in the middle of all of the chaos.
Yeah, it was chaotic. So I get to the emergency room and
by yourself?
Like, by myself.
Yeah. So did you ditch the drugs?
Oh, yeah, I threw them out on my way.
Yeah.
I just actually threw them out the window, so bless whoever found them, I guess. But I threw them out the window on my way and I got there and she said, "Have you been doing drugs?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so they took me back for a CAT scan, and I'll never forget because it's like probably the first time I've seen a doctor scared. But he came in my room and he was like, I don't know why I'm talking to you right now. I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "You have what they call a cerebral brain aneurysm."
Oh my goodness!
And it's exploded. And so
an aneurysm.
Yeah, and so
was there one or was there two?
I had one aneurysm,
and it started in the outside Victoria's Secret, and then it just kept going.
Well, it exploded there.
That was
what
where
they
it happened.
think. Yeah, but usually, like when it explodes, is when you die instantly.
Right.
Yeah, and I didn't die instantly.
You walked yourself out to your car
and I drove myself to the ER
for 5 hours.
Yeah.
What?
And so and my brain was bleeding, and they could not explain.
Oh my goodness.
Why I was alive, because usually he said that 1 out of 3 people survive a brain aneurysm, but if it explodes, there's really no chance. But mine was exploded.
And you were alive.
I was alive. Looking back, they actually medically now understand that it didn't burst completely. Like usually it bursts like a gunshot. Mine actually just began to leak.
Like bleed out, kind of? Yeah. Oh my goodness. So did they do surgery?
Yeah.
You had brain surgery?
I had brain surgery, yeah.
Right then?
Yeah, and that's kind of where like life got a little crazy. So I was like,
did you have withdrawals? Because you're in the hospital, you can't get drugs.
yeah, I mean, I went through all that, and they knew it, but it was just part of it. But honestly, I had to go into brain surgery so quick. I didn't know if it was withdrawals or just pain from the surgery.
Right. Did your parents come?
Yeah, my dad flew, and that was hard for him. Like he actually got on a 12-hour flight from Alaska, but they had to rush me into surgery. So I was in surgery while he was on the flight. And they didn't know if he didn't know if I'd be alive or dead when he landed. Yeah, it was crazy.
Oh my goodness. So you wake up from this.
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts?
I mean, the big thing was, I got to say this part. So they bring the paperwork in and give me like this huge percentage of like chance of death through the surgery, because it was actually in the middle of my brain. I was actually in one of the only cities at the time that did the surgery I needed.
Of course.
I don't have a scar on my brain because I actually went up through my leg.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
It was called an angiogram. They do it all over the place now, but back then they only did it in LA
and you just happened
and Philly.
To be...
Right. Isn't that crazy? And so it's like God knew I needed to be there in that city. Yeah.
Yeah. I shouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. And so they went up through my heart
my goodness.
with like this microscope thing and tied off my brain. I have platinum coils in my head from the
And nothing
brain
has
surgery.
ever happened since then?
I mean, I had a lot of recovery.
Yeah.
And I'm actually still peripherally blind. So
I
have to look straight ahead to see people. I can't see side to side at all. Like anything beyond you is blurry right now.
Yeah. So this is all blurry.
Yeah, exactly. My wife always jokes. She's like, it's great for your lust issues. I know if you're looking.
I know it.
I know when you're looking, dude. So
my brother-in-law, he got in a basketball accident when he was in high school and lost his vision in one of his eyes. And so my sister ended up marrying him. He's the most amazing man, but she always jokes with him because he has a glass eye in one eye, and she'll be like, "Hello," and then she'll be like, "I always forget, like I have to go to the other side." Like it's cute when they can laugh about when you can laugh about it. Yeah,
the kids in our youth group, they'll come scare me. They're like, "Pastor's blind." I'm like,
because they know all these stories.
Like, you guys are making fun of a disabled person, but
okay. So did that put you on a good trajectory, or did it get worse?
Well, so they give me the paper, and I read over all the odds of dying or being paralyzed, because what was happening was the blood was actually leaking down into my spinal cord, so they thought I was going to be paralyzed. So I had to, they had to make me aware of all this stuff, and I signed the paper, and but I prayed. I was like, God, if you let me live, I'll give my life to you. I'll live for you for the rest of my life.
Oh my word!
I promise. And so I signed it, and they put me in surgery. Yeah, and so I woke up in ICU, I think 12 hours later, and they had tied off that part of my brain, so it was like I had to relearn how to talk, walk, like all that kind of stuff. So
months, I'm sure, of therapy.
Yeah, it took forever to get back to normal, and they were afraid of seizures, but I actually, obviously, survived and made it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So at that point, like, did you start to be like, I need to get my life in order?
Yeah, while I was in the hospital.
Yeah.
But then I got out.
Yeah, sure.
And I went right back to my stuff.
Yeah.
And so when I went back to my stuff, I went crazy.
Yeah, like worse than ever.
Yeah, because I legit thought that I had broke my promise to God.
Oh, so you're like almost trying to like.
Well, I thought God was going to kill me.
Yeah.
And so I probably.
So you were going to go do it first, type of thing?
Well, no, I just walked around like waiting for like a bus to hit me.
For it to fall.
Yeah, like so I didn't care. I just thought there's going to be a moment where God kills me because I broke my promise to him. And so they started like actually locking me up in mental institutions. And
were they doing like was this your parents?
No, I'd get arrested. My parents were in Alaska.
Gotcha. So your dad went back.
Yeah, so he stayed with me for a little while, and then he had to go home and go back to work. And so then it was just me.
So you'd go into mental institutions for like days or weeks? Or
mostly days.
Yeah.
And then they would let me out again. And so I went in.
Did you feel like you were...
I felt like
belonged?
It's funny that I never felt like I was crazy until they put you in there, and then you start to feel like you're crazy.
right.
But
you're like, I was totally normal on the streets.
But I mean, they did think like something's wrong with you. You think God's gonna kill you, and I'm just like, He is. Like I broke my promise.
Like so that's how how seriously you still took God though.
Yeah, and it was
in
funny
the middle
because
of
like
all of this,
a lot of like
you're
the
not
the
freaking
mental
out.
institution people, like some of them weren't Christian
Right.
doctors and stuff, so they're like,
So they think
this
you're
guy thinks there's a
completely nuts.
God, like you know. So
Oh wow! But that was your like motivating factor on like it was the God is going to get you because you broke a promise.
yeah, and so
Wow.
I
So
just
in and out of mental institutions.
Yeah, and of course I got fired from all the driving trucks.
No,
and all that kind
no
of
contact
stuff.
with your son.
No contact
That's
whatsoever.
totally over with the girl. Like you're just.
She's mad at me.
Yeah,
Every
sure.
right to be.
Yeah.
Every right to be mad at me.
Yeah.
And so finally one night it was like I saw like my money running out. And like it felt like life was over. So I was like, forget it. And I went and spent my last few $1,000s on drugs.
Oh wow! All at one time. So drugs are expensive.
Yeah,
I don't have
cocaine
I
is.
don't
Yeah,
have a lot of history. I don't have any history. So I'm always fascinated by it. Wow. So a couple $1,000.
It's not the best budgeting choice. Yeah.
Does that get you through like a week, a day?
Well, I mean, a couple thousand should last you a while, but
Okay.
I was like, I'm just gonna go all night and just
You're just
do
gonna,
it
like,
all.
oh, yeah.
And then my plan was to just get as high as I could and then take my life.
Wow. That was like you had planned it out because
I figured this is my last day on the streets. This is it, and I'm gonna go because I'm tired of waiting for him to take me. I was like mad at him for not killing me,
for not getting you sooner because you're
I'm
suffering.
like, dude, I've been walking around for a year and you haven't paid me back for my promise.
Wow.
So I'm just gonna do
So
it
this
myself.
is a year after the aneurysm.
Yeah, it's about a year.
And you're like, okay, I'm just gonna do it myself because he's playing with me.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So I went and bought all the drugs and went back to my apartment and
By yourself?
and I like I said, I had ecstasy pills that I
Yep.
was selling. So I don't know how many I took, but I just started swallowing them as much as I could and doing cocaine and then I just sat back and waited to die.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So it was
And
crazy.
what happened?
I heard God speak for the first time as a
Really?
dad. Yeah. It makes me cry still. Yeah.
In that moment? Oh my goodness.
I heard him say, "What are you doing?" And I was like, I broke my promise. Like, I have to kill myself. I broke my promise because I know I let you down.
Yeah.
And I specifically heard God say, it's not about the promise you make to me. It's about the promise I made to you. I sent my son. And it was like
Oh my gosh.
something shifted in me from like dictator to like father.
Father.
Yeah. And I wanted to live.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that
Did
one.
you hear it audibly or did you hear it like
Yeah,
in your
I mean,
own
it's-
thought?
and
Like
I
it
don't
was
say that often. I don't hear God
Right. But it was that
like,
strong.
It could have been the drugs. I don't know. No, it wasn't. I mean, I know
It clearly
was a God
wasn't
moment.
based
Yeah.
on where you are now.
Yeah.
It was definitely
It was
not
a God
drugs.
moment. Yeah.
My God.
So
Oh my
I
gosh.
called that one guy who I believed was a Christian, and I was like,
Yeah, who's this guy?
his name was Cal.
Okay, and you knew him from where?
Just knew him from life.
Okay.
Like, and he
He's
was
just
always
like the one guy that you
hey, I
knew
love
that
you,
would-
believe in you, you know. And
So
I
you
should have
called
called
him as-
911, right? But I
right.
called him, and he called 911.
Oh, wow.
And so immediately there was like,
So you called him while you're in this ecstasy, cocaine.
yeah, and I'm like, hey, I think I'm
like
dying.
you might be dying.
He's like-
Now you're hearing from God,
Yeah.
and
So a lot of people knew my story. So he
Right.
was like, you had an aneurysm. What are you doing? Like, why are
yeah,
you doing
yeah.
drugs?
Yeah.
You know? And I said, I think I'm dying. I took a lot, man. And so he called 911 and there was 30 cops and ambulances all around my house within minutes. And they came in and charged
do you remember
me.
this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a little bit. I
Yeah.
do remember, like, it's like fuzzy
Yeah.
because I was high, but I remember the police coming into my house and I remember they charged me with being a harm to myself, suicidal. So they put me in the ambulance, and there's a lot of reasons I'll never do drugs again, but getting my stomach pumped is definitely one of them.
Was that when they put it down your throat and then?
they do the charcoal thing? It's awful. Yeah.
Oh, what is the charcoal thing?
They actually make you swallow. Charcoal makes you throw up, so they just fill your stomach with charcoal until you throw up. And it's
I feel
it's
nauseous
awful.
just.
Yeah, it's awful. Oh. Yeah, and it's even worse because it like lasts for weeks. So it's just like in your system. It's really
So they
gross.
just start you throwing up. They just get you throwing up.
Yeah, to get all those drugs out of you.
Oh my goodness.
And so after that, they kept me in the hospital, made sure I was healthy, and put me back in the mental institution.
Wow.
And that time they put me in the Philadelphia prison system.
So the mental institution and the prison system
There's like private mental institutions,
Gotcha.
and then there's the psych ward.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And you went to the private?
I went to the private mostly, but this time it was like scared straight psych ward.
They put you in the
real.
Yeah,
where like people with felonies and stuff were in there, and it was bad. And so when they first put me in, they put me in solitary confinement, and that's kind of where I met Jesus. It's kind of crazy.
By yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So I spent, I don't know how many days. I almost forget, like, because it just kind of, you spend 23 hours a day in this room.
Oh, jeez.
And they had me with a suicide vest, which is this huge.
So you're like strapped in?
No, but it's like you get a bed and a suicide vest, which is a big lead, so you can't tear it and hang yourself with it.
Oh, gotcha. They won't give you cloth.
Yeah, it's basically a hospital gown with lead in it. Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
And I sat there, and people used to carve in the pads. It was a padded room.
Oh, yeah.
They would carve in there, and somebody carved God is fake.
Oh, wow.
And so, like, 23 hours a day, one of the only things to do is just read what people have carved. And so I just read that over and over again. And just, God, if you're real, speak to me, as I read God is fake. And he just kept speaking to me, and I continued to give my life to Jesus right there.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
What do you think it was about that moment? Like that, was it the near death?
It was just rock bottom.
Was it the hearing him?
It was hearing him.
It was hearing him.
Yeah, it shifted something in me.
Because even with the aneurysm, you were making promises, but you weren't.
I just, like, God, I promise I'll live up to what you expect.
What you think he wants and what you think you should do to prove that you can. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So I spent a few months in there, and then
in solitary the whole time.
No, they let me out.
Okay.
Put me in a room, but. I think I actually liked solitary better.
Yeah, I would too.
There's like crazy people in there.
For sure. Solitary sounds really nice.
Yeah,
maybe for 24 hours.
There's crazy people in here.
Yeah, that's scary.
But they finally let me out. Sent me to a rehab in Florida, actually, West Palm Beach, Florida.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so I hadn't slept in a while, but it was like on the beach in Florida.
So you're like around nature, you're around beauty.
It was gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I landed at night.
Do you feel like you're starting to
and I knew I was going to go through this program to help me figure out tools to fight drug addiction. But I landed at night, I'll never forget, and you could hear the beach. But I hadn't slept in forever. I mean, you're in a mental institution. Right. It's hard to sleep, Right. And so I crash, and when I wake up, there's this huge black guy standing over me. And he's like, anybody tell you they love you today? And I was like, yeah, and I just sat there, and I was like, God, if you let me live through this. Like, I was scared. And then I said, no, sir. And he said, well, I love you. Jesus loves you. Now get up and make your bed. Yeah. And so I was like, okay. And so
sir.
Yeah, I got up and made my bed.
No.
And so for 3 weeks, that happened.
That small moment even meant something to you?
A little bit, but 3 weeks that happened every day. Anybody tell you they love you today?
The same guy?
Same guy.
No.
No, sir. I do. Jesus does. Get up and make your bed. And so after 3 weeks, I was like, what the heck, man? And I got upset.
Yeah.
And I'm like, quit telling me you love me. It's weird,
Right,
bro.
right.
And also, I hate making my bed. I just got to get back in it at night.
Do you know what I've been through?
Yes.
Do you know what it's like
Don't make me make my bed. This is stupid. I'm going to use it again,
Oh my goodness. This wasn't even a Christian facility.
It was.
Right?
They had a Christian track.
Okay.
They actually sent me to a facility one of the only facilities in the nation that has a Christian track in it that you can choose to go through. And so it was really cool. It's called Behavioral Health of the Palm Beaches. Huh. But he looked at me and he was like, I tell you I love you because I do, because Jesus loves you and he helps me love you. And Jesus loves you more. He said, I tell you to make your bed because drug addicts don't do anything normal. And it's the first normal thing you can do with your life is wake up and make your bed.
That's your ground zero right there, making your bed every day.
Yep. And then he looked at me and he said, why are you so angry? You come from a good home. All these people here, they don't. Yeah. I don't understand why you're this way. And he was the first person I ever told about my abuse. Wow. I just felt like in that moment, he wasn't
even a counselor or therapist.
No,
right?
he was just the RA guy,
helping out. Yeah.
So he was on staff, but he wasn't one of the counselors.
But he wasn't an official therapist.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! And he's who you told.
So yeah, I told him.
Why do you think you told him?
I think because I believed that he cared.
Yeah. It wasn't just the track and the pass out and the
Yeah, I think I believed he cared after 3 weeks
of the saying the same thing.
Yeah, and just spending time with him throughout the day. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And so he told me the story of blind Bartimaeus, you know, from the Bible, and he talked about the moment where blind Bartimaeus cried out, "Son of David, have mercy on me." And Jesus called to him, and he threw off his cloak. And ran to Jesus. And he told me, he said that cloak meant something.
Oh, yeah.
And so I know you know this.
This is awesome, though. Yes, you got it. Yes.
And
This
so,
is great.
he said that was his right to beg. You know, back then, you had to have the right color cloak to be a businessman or a tax collector, and you had to have a right color cloak to beg. So when he threw that off, it was like his business permit, his right to be crippled.
Wow.
And he said, you have a right.
So this guy's just unpacking this, like the text
just
full on.
He's like preaching at me. And I'm just sitting on my bed like crying.
This guy's a stud. Oh my goodness. This is amazing.
And so he said, you have a right to be angry about what happened to you as a kid. You have a right to be angry at the church. You have a right to be angry at yourself for losing, you know, because at this point I had actually lost custody of my son. You have a right to be angry at all that stuff. But if you give up your right and run to Jesus, he'll heal you. And I got on my knees in that room and I just started screaming, "Son of David, have mercy on me." I give up my right to be angry at the abuse. I give up my right for all the stuff. And it was like I began to get healed.
Oh my goodness. It had to have felt so counterintuitive to what your flesh just wanted to hold on to.
It did. Yeah, but at the same time, I felt like
so done.
Weights just like coming off of me.
Oh my goodness.
Jesus was healing me, literally in that moment, healing me from just years of pain and anger. And like I shifted from this like to
pent up rage.
Just to like peace.
You felt it like that day.
And I feel like it's crazy to say, and I know I have a lot of drug addict friends and stuff, and it's almost hard to say, but in that moment for me, it felt like, wait a minute, you're not a drug addict. You just haven't dealt with your stuff. And I felt like the addiction was broke. I've honestly like, there's been few like devil moments where I've been tempted even to this day, but it's never been like, oh, I'm going back. And I've been clean ever since. Wow.
Since that day. How long ago was this?
2001.
Oh my goodness. So you're 18?
No, at this point I was like 22.
Math. Okay.
Yeah.
So how long have you been clean?
Gosh, it was 2001, 2019.
I can't
I'm not
add.
a math guy. I did too
we're-
many drugs.
we're the wrong
like a million
people.
years.
We'll say 20.
I think it's like 18 years.
My goodness.
So,
That was just the moment where, wow.
yeah.
So what happened then? Like, so do you feel like you felt healed, obviously?
Yeah.
You felt like 1,000 pounds had been lifted. Did you decide I'm going to become a pastor and help people?
I did, yeah.
No.
It was really funny. Yeah, I mean, immediately, like,
You're
I was
kidding
just
me.
Like,
You're
well,
like, okay,
and
this
it
is-
wasn't like a calling. That's what people are like.
yeah.
Were you called into ministry? And I'm
No,
like,
you're like,
it sounds selfish, but I decided, and I think it's key though for some people to get better. And so I decided if I help other people, it'll give me a responsibility that I won't want to do bad things again.
Yeah.
Because I'll be responsible for others.
almost like backing yourself into a corner.
Right.
While at the same time helping others.
Right.
Yep.
So if people look up to me, I can't let them down.
Yeah.
Because I actually, like I said, I care more about
You
other
always
people
cared.
than myself. And so it was more of a decision of like, I can stay clean if I help other people.
And it worked.
Yeah. And I'm sure, you know, as a pastor, like sometimes you'll be like counseling people and secretly you're like, wow, this is good for me. I need to listen to myself.
100%.
Yeah.
I teach the same classes to the interns every year, not because I couldn't come up with more material, but I'm just like, need to be reminded.
Yeah, exactly.
That God is big, God is good, you
Yeah.
know, like how to have him. I mean, it's just, I talk to myself and.
Yeah. So I started
the
a
power of
Bible study in
ministry.
rehab and like.
Really? So there, like right out of the gate.
Started helping people and like we did this Bible study and like.
Because you know it all already. I mean, it's all in you.
And a lot of those guys didn't. And so I would just sit there and teach the Bible. And it was really a cool moment in life because sometimes I wish I could go back to rehab because it's like you're just sitting on the beach, insurance is paying for it. It's amazing. But like I would teach the Bible, I would go to these healing classes, and then I'd have a lot of alone time.
Yeah.
So I actually bought like this little blow up mattress and I would put it out in the bay. It was so funny. We were in the bay of like, it's So we actually lived on what was called Singer Island. So you could go to the beach or you could go to the bay.
So they let you could go out and
Yeah.
come back.
When you get to a certain point,
level. Gotcha. Okay.
So when I got to that level,
so you
I
wouldn't
was
have to
free
like
to
have a
walk around.
sponsor with you, or you could just they would trust you to give. Yeah.
They want you to get
Reset
back to
your life,
used to
right.
life. So, but I bought this little blow up mattress and I would just float out in the bay on this little blow up mattress. And they're like these huge $1 million yachts like passing me.
And you're like on a target.
Yeah, and I'm just chilling, like waving at people.
If it was nowadays, it'd be like
Yeah.
unicorns, donuts, avocados.
Yeah.
Have you seen all those blow up, the new like trendy blow up?
But back then it was just this ugly blue mattress. But I just like would chill out there and pray and worship Jesus. And that's what I did for 3 months.
And is that where you feel like he started to download to you? Like,
yeah, it was probably some of my most, sadly to say, some of my most intimate times with Jesus.
Yeah.
Like I missed those times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So, okay, so you get out of rehab.
Yeah, I actually call a Bible college while I'm in rehab, similar to what you
Bible
guys
college.
hear,
Yeah,
like a internship at a school. So kind of like 1132, and it was at a church in Florida. And I was like, I don't have any money.
Yep.
At that point I'd lost everything. I had 2 T-shirts and a pair of jeans.
Your son is gone.
Yeah.
No.
Lost all
no
rights.
contact.
Had to sign him over. Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, but I want to be a pastor. And
So you signed up for Bible college?
Yeah, they gave me a scholarship. Wow. And let me come. So I went to an internship similar to this. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So are you passionate about scholarships?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I bet,
kids are like, man, I want to be a pastor. I'm actually trying to help kids right now. They got one guy. He's like, man, I want to be a pastor, and I'm like, I'm gonna get you a scholarship.
Okay, we'll talk about this at the end because I want everybody listening to like have the opportunity to like do what, because they don't even know what you're doing yet. They don't even know the end of the story. Yeah. Okay, so do you kind of just come to terms with Isaiah's gone for now?
I did. Yeah, at the time it was like hard.
Yeah.
And still people. So, and that's a big thing I try to teach now is like, there's so much grace for your life.
Yep.
But your choices bring consequences on this earth.
Yep.
And it's like, God forgives me, and I know that.
Yep.
But I have this consequence. And the consequence is he's 22, and I haven't seen him.
Wow.
Since he was 3.
Wow.
You know, and I've tried to contact him, you know, and you know, but I really felt like at some point, I feel like it needs to be more like, I felt like God spoke to me and said, basically not God to him, but represent Jesus to him as a way of like, when he's ready to come to you, that'll be special. Yeah. But if you chase him too hard, it's going to be
too
annoying.
much trying to control or too much.
Yeah. So I've kind of given that to Jesus. But
was that hard when you would reach out and there'd be a no?
Yeah.
Would it be a no from him or from her?
From mom for a long time, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, when he became 18, I thought that was going to be like our moment.
Yeah.
You know, and it wasn't. But I mean,
did he respond to you directly and be like, I don't want anything?
I've never had a response. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's okay. I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard I was a bad person. You know.
Yeah.
And so it's a consequence.
Yeah.
But I believe God will restore that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. That's a powerful part of the story that still has to be told.
Right.
Probably,
and honestly, for years I didn't because it was funny. I got almost nervous for a while that I got typecast because it was like people wouldn't even bring me in to preach. They're like, just come give your testimony.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
Like,
you're like,
preach
you're
too.
like, give me blind Bartimaeus. I will preach.
So, but I would travel and give my testimony.
I've heard you preach. I know you can preach.
I would travel and give my testimony. And like, for years, I wouldn't tell that part.
Yeah.
Because I felt like church people liked to hear like, oh, the healed drug addict saved.
Sure.
But like, who wants to hear about this?
Something that
failure as a father is what I looked
at
myself as for years.
Yeah.
But God's healed me of that too. And
it's so good.
Yeah, and so now I freely
Few of us
tell
don't
it.
have things in our past where it's like, oh, that didn't turn out well.
Right, exactly.
Due to me.
So it was a healing moment to actually be able to
Wow.
tell publicly, hey, I was a teen dad and I messed it up. So.
And a life speaks to a life.
Mm-hmm.
And even in our church, like so many parents, so many regrets, so many things to have somebody say like, hey, I have them too. And
Exactly.
God, it's just so powerful.
Yeah. And I've had kids, like especially at camps and stuff, is these huge moments where like kids will come up and be like, my dad left.
Oh my gosh.
And it's so healing to know that there's dads that are like praying that their sons would come to them, you know, and like,
my gosh.
it's almost like we both have these healing moments, you know? So
that's next level.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow. Okay, so you kind of let that go, and you were like, I'm going to go to Bible college.
Yeah.
So you go from rehab to Bible college.
Right.
And you never looked back?
Not really, no. I mean, I didn't.
It was just, you were
At that point, I'd left Philly and I didn't go back for 10 years.
Oh my goodness.
So
the guy that was telling you, I love you, Jesus loves you, make your bed, did you ever see him again?
we kept in contact for a while,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like life.
Yeah,
you just kind of
sure.
keep going, you know?
Yep.
And so I went to this internship program and I made it 8 months. They kicked me out.
All the best ones get kicked
Yeah,
out.
I laugh now because people are like, "How did you make it as a pastor?" And I'm like, "I kind of failed my way all the way here." You know,
It's the only way to do it.
I've just messed
If people
up.
pretend like they didn't fail
Yeah.
their way, they're lying.
Right.
Like, it's no.
And so I was just like, at that point, I was like, I still want to be a pastor.
Why'd you get kicked out? Like,
Honestly, it
attitude,
was
or-
like, I know it sounds crazy, and I'm friends with them now.
Yeah.
But I was kind of the first druggy guy that they brought in
Yeah.
the program. So it's like me completely messed up, and then like all these church kids that are like, you know, and I'm still at this
Going
point,
through the motions,
like
yeah.
it was so funny because I was like so intent on still smoking. I still smoke. I want to be a pastor.
cigarettes?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I still smoke cigarettes.
Sure, yeah.
So I literally. I got the rehab doctor to sign a note saying I needed to smoke because I was coming off too many drugs.
Yeah. You probably did.
And I might have. I don't know. But it was like a shock to my body or something. So I was like this smoking intern. Like it was just crazy, you know?
They just weren't ready for that.
They weren't ready.
And that's it's okay.
And so we kind of butted heads a lot. And like, and it was also hard for me because the way it was set up, it was, and it's a good program, but it was like, I had these 19-year-old church kids like, trying to boss me around, and some of them had like authority complexes, you know what I mean? And so we were like fighting each other, and it was just bad. So we finally were just like, forget it. And so when I quit, or when they kicked me out, my friend quit, my roommate quit.
Oh, okay.
And he actually was from Oklahoma.
Oh.
And he's like,
so
what are you going to do?
I see this. I see it.
And I was like, I don't
Philly,
know. I guess
Alaska,
I'm going back
Florida.
to Philly. And he was like, no, come to Oklahoma with me.
Wow.
And so I moved to his dad's ranch in Oklahoma, and that's where I met my wife. She's an Okie.
She is?
Yeah.
So was she family member?
No,
Okay, just you met her in Oklahoma.
Yeah, just met her at church in Oklahoma. And
At church?
Yeah.
So you stayed with church?
I did.
You kept going?
Yeah, and I did Bible school online, and I sent out like 500 resumes like to be a youth pastor.
So you wanted to be youth pastor?
Yeah.
That was the goal, yeah.
But like my resume kind of stunk, you know? Like I was in a mental institution and I got kicked out of Bible school. Like, let me come teach your kids, you know? Nobody wanted to hire me.
But I'm only smoking one cigarette a day, I promise.
Exactly.
I'll get this is great. So you and Annie fall in love.
Yeah, I fell in love.
It's just, and so you get married there?
No.
Okay.
Actually, at that point, I was there for about 4 months, just working on the ranch, like
That
sending
had to
out
be
resumes.
like therapeutic. Just working.
In a way, it was embarrassing because
Was
I'd never
it?
been
Yeah.
on a ranch, and so I was like breaking everything, and I didn't know how to deal with cows. And like,
Yeah, I guess that's true. You're from Philadelphia.
yeah, the steaks were great though.
I bet.
But so I did that, and then I finally like called my dad, and I was like, because he's always been a pastor.
Yep.
It was a small church in Alaska still, but it was an inner city church, which has always been my heart.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was like, Dad, like, can I just come be your youth pastor?
Oh, wow.
You know, and he had a church of about 70, and he was like, sure. And so
your dad
flew to
hires you.
Alaska, and
Annie's with you?
no, she stayed.
She's still
she was
there.
in college.
Okay, you're not married
like,
yet.
No, not married.
Okay. Oh my goodness.
And I started becoming a youth pastor at my dad's church
Your
of
dad.
70 people in the inner city of Anchorage. Yeah. So
Did you have a heart for the inner city before that?
I did. Like
Okay,
I think
it was
I've
always kinda in
yeah,
you.
it was always there.
Yeah.
And then I kind of went on a journey away from it for a while, but found it again.
Yeah.
So
Funny how it keeps coming
Yeah.
back sometimes, isn't it?
So yeah, I mean, because you go through all this stuff, you know.
sure.
So like, I'm a bivocational youth pastor, which was some of my most rewarding times.
Really?
Yeah, it was
And
unbelievable.
for people who don't know, bivocational is where you work a job.
Yeah, you work
as well.
a job,
Yep.
and so I'm
While
working
you do
Home
ministry.
Depot
Yep.
at 10 at night till 5 in the morning.
Anchorage?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'd go to sleep and wake up at 11 in the morning and go be a youth pastor. But I was single at the time, no kids, I could do it.
Yep.
Finally moved Annie up, and I lived at my parents' house and paid for her apartment.
Wow.
And so we got married in Alaska. That's what I always tell people, we honeymooned in Alaska. They're like, really? Like, well, we lived there, but we were broke.
Wow. So then what brought you to Texas? Because I want everybody to hear what you're doing now, because this is the most
Okay, yeah, we'll
amazing
get there
part
quick.
of
So
this is amazing.
as a bivocational
Yep.
youth pastor, I thought I had something to prove
Sure.
I was like, I'm going to be full time. I thought that meant you made it as a pastor.
Right.
So I finally got a job at a church in Oklahoma as a full-time pastor at this suburban
Which felt like
church.
the ultimate.
Yeah. But it was like a church where they were like, please don't look up my past because then you'll know what church maybe, I don't know. But it wasn't a bad church. It's a great church now, actually. But at the time, it was like, can't show your tattoos. You got to wear,
yeah.
So it was just really old school suburban church. Nothing wrong with it. It was just where they were.
Sure.
I meant that because I don't want anybody to think I'm talking bad about them.
Oh, absolutely. No, that was a different time.
Yeah. And so
it was
like,
a different time.
so
you were already tatted up. And
and I'm like going.
And you were pretty open about your life, right? Like you didn't hide anything.
At that point, I was still hiding the part
you were
about
still a little
the sun and that kind of stuff. Like I remember being afraid that because it was very well-to-do suburban church, which is great, but it wasn't my calling.
Sure.
And so I started to go nuts, like trying to be this like fake,
wasn't you
full-time preacher.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
And put myself probably on a pedestal, and we started getting into some marriage problems. And my wife was like, "You're fake." My wife's like pretty hardcore, and she's like, "You're fake." And
I got to hang out with her.
This isn't the guy that I
love
married.
her already.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's only your spouse that can call you out and be like, "Okay, bro."
And so I went through this whole hard time where basically she left. She left.
Wow.
And my daughter was 6 months at the time. And
that's Cadence?
Yeah.
Okay.
And my wife was like, I'm moving out until you can figure yourself out.
So did she just see that your soul was starting to just get...
Yeah, and I was. I was becoming like this thing.
Yeah, I know. You know? I know that I do know the thing.
Yeah.
Yes,
And so I went to my pastor and I was like, hey, having marital problems. And they fired me. They were like, we can't have this here. And, and so I was fired and... failed again, went into business at that point, became a successful businessman actually.
Was she gone at this point?
Yeah, but we fixed it.
Okay, so once you were done with the church and done with the faking it, you worked it out.
And it was embarrassing because I actually went from like big church, it was a big church, to car salesman. And
so for the ego, it's like, geez.
Yeah, I was talk about being humbled, you know. And now I always say, I even preach it, do not put me on a pedestal. I'm in the process, like everybody else. I'm going to let you down. You know, I don't want to be looked up to like that. Like, that's crazy. So I went into business, long story short, 3 years and got out of car sales, actually went into nonprofit consulting. And consulted large nonprofits on how to raise money.
So here you are back to the nonprofit.
Like it was like
it's
God
always
slowly,
pulling you.
And so I'm working for this big company, living a life, making good money. And we started attending this church, and the pastor actually comes to me and he's like, hey, I heard you used to be a youth pastor. And I laughed. I was like, no, dude, like don't even try.
You're so far removed from it at this point.
I don't ever want to go back to poverty because at this point I'm making like really good money, you know? And we just bought a big house. Like we're chilling, you know.
Is this in Texas?
It's Oklahoma still.
This is Oklahoma.
So
okay.
we're living in Oklahoma, and I'm just chilling. And my wife, I went home and I laughed and I was like, Annie, this dude's talking to me about their youth pastor job, and she's like, you should consider it.
Oh wow, that's got to be big for her to say because of her experience before.
But through the three years, I had become a different person.
You'd shown her.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
And so I was like, well, he wants to have lunch with me, so I'm gonna go have lunch with him, and I'm gonna tell him everything wrong with me.
Yeah.
And so
you have nothing to lose.
Yeah. So we went to lunch, and I was like, the pastor sat with me, and he's like, we're really looking for a youth pastor for a year, dude. We need the right guy. And I was like, okay, I'm ex-drug addict, mental institutions, kicked out of Bible college. My wife tried to leave me while I was in ministry. I got fired from the last church. You don't want me.
I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because this is so beautiful. Like what, you know, like when you just unpack like the real story and the real you. It's just
don't
like,
want
this
me,
is
dude.
everybody's life in different variances.
So now I tell kids, if you really want a church job, tell them everything wrong with you.
So he was like on the spot.
He
like,
started crying and he goes,
I
think you're the one. I think you're the one.
Power of humility.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, I don't want to live in poverty again. I'm still like, you know. And so we went home and we just put a number to it of like, this is what we would have to make to be happy in ministry. And he called me that night and said, the board discussed it and this is what we want to pay you. And it was the exact number. And it was way less than I was making, but it was enough to still live. Yeah. So I jumped back into ministry. I did that for like 3 years. And then I just really felt like, and he still is, his name's Glenn Schaefer, great pastor. I felt like I love this church, but I'm not called to this city.
Yeah.
Because it was like, again, suburbia.
Yep.
All that kind of stuff. And I started telling a few people. One of my mentors is out. It's not a name drop, but she was who I was talking to. Her name's Jeannie Mayo.
Oh, yeah. So like one of the greatest youth pastors in the whole world, right? Yeah.
And so I was talking to her about things. And then I'm on this conference call. This is how I get to Texas. Jim Hennessy's leading the conference call.
Oh, okay.
And at the end, the guy running the conference call is like, Jeremy Donovan, you should pray over this call. And so I pray. And then Pastor Jim calls me right after the conference call, and he's like, hey, we've been looking for a youth director in Dallas.
Wow.
Would you know anybody? And I was like, I don't know anybody qualified, because I know their church. Robert Madu was their youth pastor.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
He was their youth pastor?
Yeah.
We love Pastor Robert. Okay, yeah.
And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was there. He grew
goodness.
up there. And I'm like, man, I don't know anybody qualified for that job, And so I said, but if I hear of anybody, I'll let you know. But deep in my heart, I'm like, gosh, that would be awesome.
You were feeling it, yeah.
And so the next day, Pastor asked Jeannie for recommendations, and she recommended me.
Wow.
And so he called me back, and he was like, dude, I just talked to you yesterday, and now Jeannie Mayo is recommending you.
Wow.
Would you consider it? And I'm like, yeah. And so I moved to Dallas.
Wow.
Did youth ministry here for about 3 years.
3 years?
4 years.
Okay.
Yeah, we did youth ministry.
And that was at their
4
main
years.
campus,
Main
right? Because they have
campus.
3 or
yeah,
4?
3 now.
Okay, 3 now, yes.
Yeah, well, 4 if you consider the one, or 5 if you consider the ones on the main campus, because there's a Spanish
and
Saturday night service on our main campus.
That's cool. Trinity's so awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
Church.
It's unbelievable.
So you youth pastor, and then what, and this is what I want to get close with, like what made you, because Cedar Hill, that's like nice area.
Yeah.
Like I would imagine you're living a good life. You're all these things.
Well, yeah, and it's like
you've got 3 kids now, right? Or 2?
I had 2 at that moment.
2?
Yeah, my surprise came later.
Oh,
yeah, Kai came later. But yeah, I mean, I'm living a life. It's like big church, big youth group, traveling youth speaker.
Doing
I'm
good.
Like,
you're getting, and then now tell me if I get the story wrong, because all I know is from what Dustin's told me over time. But from what I've heard, you just decided I've got to.
Yeah, well, I mean, Pastor actually came to me and he was like, there's a church.
Oh, wow. So he started the ball rolling.
Yeah, he's like, there's a church in Oak Cliff.
Yeah. And for people who don't know, in Dallas, Oak Cliff would be considered inner city?
Yeah. It's considered like, you hear people often say, don't go to Oak Cliff at night, that kind of stuff. But it's a wonderful place too. I love Oak Cliff. And it's not what people make it out to be. But anyway, he said, there's a church in Oak Cliff that needs help. I don't know anybody else on the staff besides you that should do it. Would you consider doing both youth ministry and helping this church? And I was like, sure. So I went over to this little church that was running like 40 people, but they were doing a bus ministry. And I started hanging out in this neighborhood, and I started hearing the stories of these kids. Yeah. And I would leave daily, and it was like, it almost became like this like uncontrollable passion where I had to go every day.
Yeah.
It was like
getting in you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but I would leave daily just weeping, hearing these kids' stories, hearing, I didn't even realize we have starving children in America, and
so these kids are starving.
Yeah. They're hungry.
They don't have food.
They're begging me to go get them food, all kinds of stuff. So it was just, and so probably after about a year of helping, I just realized that this is what my heart is breaking with. Like I always say, find what breaks your heart, and breaks Jesus's heart. Because if those two things align, you'll find your passion and your burden.
Yep.
And I never wept. I love youth ministry, and I still love being a part of it. But I don't weep over youth ministry the way I did these kids.
Wow.
If that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
And so I just knew that's where I want to give my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I remember Dustin telling me, like, right after I think you maybe went full time there with the kids and at that church, but I remember him saying, like, man, like, Jeremy is just on another level of sacrifice, and I'm not flattering you. This is like true. Like it was on another level.
It was crazy. I'll never forget. I handed over youth ministry, and it was like this emotional moment because youth ministry at the time, it's running like 600 kids.
Yeah,
it's doing great.
It's successful. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the pastor of the church that we're helping resigns.
Okay.
And so then I'm just like there, like, okay, now I'm the pastor. I got to make sure this thing works.
Right.
Like, what am I going to do?
Yep.
And so we finally decided it was time to hand the youth ministry over. So I hand that over, and I'll never forget getting in the little bus to go pick up our kids and bring them to the church, driving past this massive youth ministry. And I'm like, what are you doing?
What
I felt like I was
did I just
starting
do?
over at the Church of 70.
Sure,
Because
sure.
I was. I mean, like,
Yeah.
when the pastor left, a lot of the people left.
Yeah.
So we started with about 20 people in our church.
Oh, my goodness.
And all these kids. Yeah. It was crazy. And
As many kids as adults?
yeah, more at the time. Yeah. I mean, because we were bussing them in like crazy.
So you're
still.
thinking, like, what did I just do? I just gave up this prominent position to go.
I had a guy who was at a big church. He called me and he was like, dude, what are you doing?
Wow.
And I was like, what are you talking about? And he goes, why would you give up something so big to do something so small? That's what he said. And I was like,
oh my
I don't know.
goodness.
I think because I weep over it. Like, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember telling my friend, I called another friend, I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And he goes, are you kidding me? This is the biggest thing you've ever done. And I'm realizing it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm realizing
my
it's the biggest thing
goodness.
I've ever done.
That is absolutely
Because
incredible.
we've seen miracles. We've seen Jesus do so many things.
You've
and
literally fed and clothed children, right?
yes, we still, every week.
Every week. Do you
Every
still do
week.
the bus ministry?
We bus them in every week.
And aren't you in the process of starting like a community center?
Yeah, we're trying to build it right now.
Build a community center and...
Yeah, so right now what we do
is
is...
the church like these kids like home in the
Their
sense
hope.
of... Yeah. They come after school?
not as often as we'd like. We're
Yeah.
still building. So we bring them in on
Okay.
Wednesdays and Sundays.
Okay.
And we feed them a full meal. Every time our church doors are open, there's food.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So
Oh, that's cool.
we feed them a
What's
full
your
meal.
for everybody listening? What's your Instagram name?
Trinity_Fairmeadows.
Trinity_Fairmeadows, because
Yeah.
I love following. It's kids
Yeah.
are always eating.
Yes.
It's always you and a bunch of kids.
Yeah, just chilling.
It's like-
Yeah. And it's amazing. It's just, it's my life now,
yeah.
you know, and I love it.
Yeah.
And I think I would fail at everything else in ministry just to make that work and see
Yeah.
these kids make it,
Yeah.
you know. I know that's where God's called me.
Do you get to know their families? And
Yeah, I mean, it's
I can imagine
the
like
process of just being, at first it
Do
was
people
just
trust
kids.
you? Were you trusted or were
Not
you-
at first.
Yeah, I'm sure
no.
not.
I
Yeah.
mean, I was even chased out of the neighborhood once with a baseball bat. Like,
perfect.
yeah, like just all kinds of crazy stuff. But just a battle, you know. But now we're well known in the community.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, the other night it was so scary. It was scary at first, but like I know a lot of the dealers that hang out
yeah.
around the one neighborhood we're at, and the one guy comes out and stands in front of the bus, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's about to happen?
Yeah.
And so I stop the bus, and he walks over, and he makes me roll down my window, and I'm thinking.
You're driving the bus?
Yeah, I still do. If our church grows to 5,000 people,
You'll drive the bus.
I will drive the bus.
I love
I love driving the bus. It's just,
Oh, I love that.
you know.
Yep.
And so I said, "What's up, man?" And he goes, "I just had to stop you to thank you for what you do in our community.
You're kidding
For
me.
these kids." And I'm like, "Dude, you
Big
scared
fat
the
paycheck
mess
right
out of
there.
me.
No.
Like, don't stop the bus. Like,
You're like, thank you, but I'm going.
yes. So yeah, we're respected,
Wow.
and quite a few of the families now come to the church.
I'm sure, because you're proving to be faithful and loving, and,
Yeah, and we're
you're meeting needs and
Yeah, we're
doing
real
more than
big
passing
on-
out a tract.
real big on meeting needs. We're real
Yep.
big on education.
Love
we're trying.
it.
We
What's the
so-
education thing you're working on?
Well, we have this thing now, so we're still trying to build it. Once we get the children's center built, we actually be able to bring them more after school.
Yeah.
But right now we use the community center in Barber Jordan.
Cool. Okay.
They've given us access to the community center there.
Oh, that's awesome.
So during the summer we do twice a week reading programs for the kids.
cool.
I say often the biggest divide in America besides racism is education.
Yes.
And
100%,
And a
yeah.
lot of our kids in the inner city, and this is not just Dallas. I always have to be clear on this because people are like, oh, I want to come help you in Dallas. You can. Anybody
Yep,
can help
yep.
us. But every city in America has hungry children
Yeah.
and kids that are way behind in education.
Yeah.
And we drive past them every day as Americans. And it really, it's hard to
Yeah.
comprehend that I did for so long,
Yeah.
you know?
Yes. And I want to be challenged. I want everybody listening to be challenged. Like you're in the trenches. How does someone, like, let's say a lady's listening to this and she's like, oh my goodness, like I had no idea. Like I want to help. I want to do
Yeah.
something. What do we do in we're in the suburbs, you
Yeah.
know, like I know we can give a Saturday or do a
Yeah.
thing, but how do we like like you were saying, not just give a fish, but how can we sponsor kids? Can we help with the educational programs? Can we, like, what can somebody do who has a heart for this, but still has 2 kids at home that they have to go to bed at 8? You know what I mean?
There's quite a few churches in urban communities that are trying, you know, and even us, like, we just ride the line. Yeah. It's like people are like, what do you need? I'm like, like, the need's huge. Yeah. The resources are what's hard. Yeah. You know, and so we've had miracles, like the YFN miracle I talk about, where they took the offering, and even y'all's miracle, like, because when I went, the Lord told me, don't treat these kids any different than you treat your own. That's awesome. So, like, honestly, there's people that donate stuff, and I'll go throw it in the dumpster. Good for you. Because if it's junk,
it's trash.
I'm not taking it. And please don't give churches junk.
Like, that's great. Hear that, people. Yes. Like, don't give junk. Like,
if you would look at it and be like, I would never let my kids touch this.
It's so good.
Don't donate it. Like,
amen. That is so good. So, what other things practically like that? I love this. Like, help people help.
I mean, just financially, like, if you find a good organization, like, we feed kids, but it costs money.
Yeah, sure.
80% of our church budget goes to the kids.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And so we don't have, like, you know, people. I had a consultant come in. He's like, you need to hang more LED lights. And I'm like, I got 4 that were donated. I literally have 4 LED lights in our church that were donated.
You're like, sorry, I can't let this.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not going to buy another light when I can feed 10 more kids. You know. But, I mean, there's been miracles. Like, I was literally praying, I want to give these kids a good Christmas. You know? Yeah. And then we had dinner with you and Dustin, and you looked at me and you said, I feel like God's telling me to help your kids for Christmas. Yep. That was so awesome. And it was just so crazy because, like, you know, the last 2 years now, I've watched our kids walk out of church with, like, Nordstrom bags. Because 1132 decided that they were going to do something, and these kids are just, like, stacked with presents. And it's just unbelievable. And it's churches that are like that are kingdom minded. That are like, just tell us, because if somebody asks, how can I help? I have tons of ways to help. Right. I remember you even saying, I think that same night that we all had dinner, but you were saying, like, literally pots and pans. Yeah. Did you tell me that? Yeah, you were that's what I learned. And pans so that was one of my first years in it. And so I was learning. So that first year we did Thanksgiving. So there's a large company here called Mint Dentistry. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're great. And so they buy us Thanksgiving meals every year to give to our families. It's just, it's amazing. Like, I don't have to go raise money. I literally sit down with the owner, and he's like, how many do you need? Wow. And so they buy Thanksgiving meals for our kids, or I mean our families. So I bought frozen turkeys the first year, and we handed them out. And about a month later, I went to the houses, and there were still frozen turkeys in there, because none of the moms had pots and pans. Yeah, a lot of the moms don't have vacuums. And the way Dallas does it, the projects are actually kind of nice looking on the outside, but when you get inside, you realize the poverty. Yeah. And so once I started getting to know the families, there's, like, no furniture. Kids are sleeping on floors. Yep. It was just unbelievable. Yeah. So a lot of the moms couldn't cook their turkeys. Yeah. So now we give out hams. Oh, that's pre-cooked hams. Yeah. Oh, the learning curve you must have been on the last few years must be so I still don't know if I know what I'm doing, but we're just trying. It sounds like you're yeah, I mean, even that, because, I mean, I think everybody in ministry has those nights where you're just like, gosh, am I making a difference? Oh, and this Wednesday was that. It was just crazy. Yeah. We had a little neighborhood fight where these 5 girls, like, they like to fist fight, you know. It's almost, you know, I was teaching them the forgiveness. I'm like, Jesus wants you to forgive. And the one little girl looked at me and she's like, I just got to beat her up one more time and then I'll forgive her, you know. I'm like, okay. Oh man, the realness though, and the rawness. It must be so refreshing. Yeah. Like, just to be in such a raw, authentic environment where they're not putting anything on. Back to, like, I'm sure. You know, like, you go travel somewhere and speak, and you're like, what is this? Yeah, that's crazy. Nobody's swearing. Nobody's throwing punches. Nobody's. And I always tell people, like, if you ever say you're bored at church, just come to Trinity Fair Meadows, because you will find something. Oh my goodness. But I literally, like, Wednesday I left. I'm like, God, are we making a difference? Like, this was insane. Yeah. Like. It was just crazy, and I just felt like the Lord said, you're there. Yeah, little by little. So even if you don't know what you're doing all the time, and there's people that come, and it's like, I want to help everybody, but I can't, because I have a limit. Sure. And so, and people know that, but it's just like, you want to do everything, but we've seen a lot of, we've seen families that live in communities that have gone and bought homes. And we've seen moms get their education. We've seen kids build their reading level. But more importantly, our kids, they don't go hungry now. Yep. You know, because we feed them twice a week, but we also, we have what we call emergency food packs that we deliver to the neighborhoods.
Do these kids have your phone number?
Mostly, a lot of them do.
And so they'll like text you or call you.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, and it's funny. They're used to it now, but I still do travel some, and so but they'll blow up my phone if I'm not at church.
Yeah.
Where are you? Because they're just so used to people leaving them.
And I'm sure like once they've like attached trust to somebody, like you feel a great responsibility.
Yeah, and it's crazy because it's like they're especially men. They're just used to men disappearing. So they're still, sometimes it's like I feel like they look at me like, when are you gonna go?
Yeah.
And I really don't. I'm like, I've told my wife, I'm like, I think this is where I have to stay. This is where I have to give my life because I need to see them graduate high school.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, they actually do surveys in our community in elementary to decide how many prisons to build because they have an idea of how many of our kids will grow up and go into prison. The system. And so I want to break those surveys.
Yes.
I want to have empty prisons.
Amen.
You know, and I want them
turn
to
those
be
prisons
like,
into community centers.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we can break those
That's
statistics.
so powerful, man, what you guys are doing. My sister was an inner city school teacher in Seattle, and I think I could have this statistic wrong, but I think like almost 60% of her kids came from a shelter. Like, so we're busted from a homeless shelter. It was like very just, pretty gritty Seattle scene. And she says the same thing as you though, like it's racism, it's education.
Yeah, 100%.
That's it. Yeah.
I mean, when we started,
they can't. Yeah, like
we had a reading therapist.
What do we need to do?
In.
What is the answer to this?
I mean, consistency.
Yeah.
I mean, it always helps with.
Is it resources? Is it better teachers? Is it what? I just so unfamiliar with.
I don't know how to fix the school system. Honestly, like that's. I do think so. I do understand this now that like, it would be great for people in like school systems to fight for schools that their kids don't go to.
Yeah, that's good.
So like,
and how does somebody do that?
Because we were talking about like DISD, which it's a good school district, but like there's a school up north that they just spent $1 million to build a bridge for the kids to be able to cross the street correctly. And there's schools in Oak Cliff falling apart. And I asked one of the school board people, I said, why does this happen?
Yeah.
And honestly, it's because there's parents up north that go to the meetings and will fight for their kids, and we don't have as many that do
advocates. You need advocates. Yeah.
You need people to be like, let's make this happen.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. It's hard. I get it. It's like hard on the teachers. It's hard for them to teach sometimes. It's a rough thing. So we're doing a lot of just training outside of the schools, what we can do. We're just doing what we can do, you know. But we've seen it. Like our reading therapist, when she first came, we had 11th graders on like first grade reading levels, and they're slowly through going, just somebody sitting down with them, learning how to read, which is so important.
I love he's now retired, but the chief of police.
Yeah.
Brown or
you
know what I'm talking about. He was there during the shootings in 2016. I've like emailed him trying to get him on this podcast because I think he's such a cool guy and did so much for the city of Dallas. But I remember it might have been at Bishop Jake's church, or he was somewhere, and he was saying like the churches have to step up.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would imagine he's a Christian to be saying that, but he was like, churches have to step up.
I agree.
Like, what are we going to do? And I was like reading this article that this interview that he gave, and he's like, chief of police, city of Dallas, and he's saying we need churches to do what they're supposed to do. And it's so,
the
it's
church
so
that
powerful.
Jesus designed is an amazing organization.
It is.
But oftentimes we catch ourselves slipping into a social club. And
100%.
And it's, we just need to be somebody that says, what are the needs in our city? And how do we meet them?
Yeah.
And honestly, there are like suburban churches. Thank you for those of you that like see inner city ministry and like we're going to invest in that. You know, and churches like you. I mean, I wish you knew how much. Sorry.
Oh, it's
1132 Church means to us because it's been a battle, and it's nice to know we have people like you to have our back and like. You've just answered prayers. So awesome. Like when we were praying for chairs and you're like, hey, we got chairs.
Oh,
and,
so
and then,
awesome.
Like, just the other day, like the buses.
Oh, yeah.
Like y'all don't know this, but like we were praying for buses.
Oh, my goodness.
Because
we didn't even know.
We had one.
Wow.
And so I personally spent an hour and a half driving a bus every Wednesday night to pick up all the kids. And now with the 2 that you donated to us, it's knocked my time down to 20 minutes. So it's like taking so much time off my hands by what you guys do. So suburban churches that go, wow, there's somebody fighting that we can come alongside, because I firmly believe everything we do, because of Trinity Cedar Hill and really you guys, 1132 and Trinity Cedar Hill have been like our support, and it's just crazy.
Nothing can make me happier to hear.
But
for real.
You guys will get all the rewards in heaven from what we do. I believe that.
I'm just glad you feel supported and you got people behind you, because I know, or I actually don't know, but I can imagine what it's like.
It can be lonely.
To be the one. You could write a book about all the stories. You've been around shootings, and didn't you rescue some girl that, had been shot? I mean, you have crazy stories, and it all sounds so glamorous when you put it in but you're day in, day out, like living a really tough call.
Yeah,
and
it's
I'm
funny
so
because
happy
like
you
sometimes
feel
I'll
supported.
even post on my personal site like things that we do, and I had somebody say, and the reason I use social media that way, if you go see it, we do post sometimes things that we do.
Yeah.
It's because we want to bring awareness.
For sure.
But I had somebody go, aren't you afraid like you're going to lose your reward in heaven by posting what you do, And I was like, you know what, if I lose my reward in heaven to feed a kid,
thank you.
then I'm okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I'll give a jewel away in my crown if I can.
What our church does, and not just me, we have an army of people that have given their life and even come, and we have people that drive, 45 minutes to come to our church and help. We even have volunteers from your church that come on Wednesday nights.
Our church loves
you know what I mean? And
Yep.
it's like they drive, we live far away, and it's like they drive and come help, and it's and everything that people in our church do, it's like it's crazy to think. I wish we could tell all the stories, but
someday you probably will. But I think even I've been reading through the Old Testament, different parts, and over and over and over again, help the ones who are downcast, help the ones who are poor, help the ones who don't have fathers and mothers, help the ones, it's over. I don't know if there's a more constant theme in Scripture.
I constantly, the Scripture fight for the widows and orphans.
Than that.
Yeah.
Yes. So
I'm built as a fighter, so I need a fight in life.
Yeah.
And so to be able to fight for the widows and orphans is just so important to me.
Awesome. Well, we love you all so much. We're with you. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
How can people help? Is there an email address?
They can just email me personally. Honestly, it's just Donovan at trinitychurch.org.
And we'll be sure to put that in the Instagram post as well. And just if they have furniture,
Instagram.
If they have good supplies, good stuff, very good stuff, Nordstrom bags. And
and then just financially, it helps when people give that we can do more food, and we actually feed what we can.
Yep.
Everything that comes in goes out.
Yep.
So,
80%. That's wild.
Yeah.
I don't know of a church that has an 80% of their budget going to.
We just give everything to the community. That's our goal. And actually, our church is not self-sustained. Thank goodness for
Trinity,
Pastor Jim and Becky.
They're awesome.
They believe in Oak Cliff, and you guys too.
Awesome.
I look around that church. Our church is painted and chairs and buses because of 1132. It's crazy.
Nothing can make me happier. I feel like we have a lot more fun years to travel together. Yeah. But just know you're backed up when you're in those trenches.
I know. I do. That's what I mean. That's why it brings me to tears, because it's just but there's.
We're so honored.
I guess what I would say is, if you're a suburban church, there's probably people in other cities that could use a church like you to go find somebody like me and say, we're kingdom minded.
Yep.
And we're gonna invest into what you're doing.
I love that. So. Okay, I have one last question for you. I ask this of everybody, which I'm very curious to hear your answer but what would you tell your 20-year-old self? If you could where you are now, go back and talk to your 20-year-old self. Pre-rock bottom, I guess that would have been.
Yeah, I was rock bottom. I'd say probably 22 was when I was getting into ministry, so I'll shift to that.
Okay, good.
Because I think I would tell my 22-year-old trying to be a pastor self is don't fight for popularity. Yeah. Fight for purpose.
It's great.
Because as a Christian for years I was like, I tried to be the popular preacher. And it's just not fulfilling.
Yeah. But driving a bus every Wednesday night for an hour and a half.
the greatest thing I could do with my life.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you,
Find
Pastor
purpose.
Jeremy,
Yeah.
so much. You were awesome.
Love you
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.
This was so good.